So, Star Wars is back and as divisive as ever. The Book of Boba Fett. Now, the Book of Boba Fett is created by Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, and basically the series follows Boba Fett post The Jedi and post Mandalorian Season 2, where basically he is now with Fennec Shand and they try to take power over Mos Espa, but they face a lot of problems in doing so. And honestly, I really enjoyed this show. I really did, because in the end it felt like Star Wars to me. It felt like I was watching the Star Wars world expanding, but at the same time though learning loads more about these places and these characters we already know and love, and that's why it worked for me overall. I really enjoyed it, and even so, it's got some big problems. I really, I don't get the criticisms that are being led online about this show. In fact, I really enjoyed every episode. There wasn't one episode which I didn't really like. There were some episodes I thought were better than others, but that happens with every TV show, and in the end, I really enjoyed it. But that's not to say I don't have my criticisms. And actually, a couple of weeks ago, I stopped doing my episode reviews, because basically the show releases weekly, and basically every single time a new Book of Boba Fett episode was released, I would do a live stream later that day talking about the episode in full spoilery detail. But I haven't been doing that for a while because I have a bit of a break from YouTube, and I'm still easing myself back into YouTube, by the way. I'm not going to do like 4 videos a week yet. I'm just easing myself back in. But the thing is though, literally the week after I stopped doing these spoilery episode reviews of the Book of Boba Fett, big things started happening. So I will be getting some spoilers in this video, so if you haven't watched the Book of Boba Fett yet, go and check it out if you haven't watched it, because I would recommend it. But nevertheless, I will be getting some spoilers, so here is your spoiler warning. So, the Book of Boba Fett, like I said, as a whole, I really enjoyed it. But the thing is that one of my big problems with the show is that it leans a bit too much into fan service, in my opinion. Like, I like fan service in Star Wars because I'm a Star Wars fan. So seeing, Luke Skywalker show up in episode 6 of, this show was really great. And I loved that it played, reminiscent to Empire Strikes Back. When Luke's training Grogu, Baby Yoda, it was reminiscent of, when Yoda trains Luke in Empire Strikes Back. And I love that. I just love that sort of stuff in Star Wars. But at the same time, though, I think it's episode 4 or episode 5. It's one of the 2 episodes. I've got a feeling that might be episode 4, actually. Basically, you see Slave 1, Boba Fett's ship, go back to the Sarlacc pit, and you see the Sarlacc come out again. And it just, at the time when I did my view of that, or when I did my view of that episode, I said I quite enjoyed that moment. But actually, looking back at it, I don't know, it just felt a bit too fan-servicey, because in one of the episodes, I think it's episode 2, basically you actually see, the Jawas take Boba Fett's arm away, and you see Boba Fett wake up as his arm's being taken away from him. And then I was a bit confused why he went to the Sarlacc pit in what I think was episode 4 to get his armor back. It was a bit like, why are we doing this other than to please fans? I don't understand what service this is doing to the story. I didn't mind that moment. I'm not saying it was terrible. It just felt like I was leaning a bit too much into fan service, in my opinion. And I don't want Star Wars to always do that. I like fan service in Star Wars. I loved seeing Luke show up at the end of Mandalorian Season 2. I loved seeing him show up in this show. I like seeing Ashoka show up in this show. I wasn't the biggest fan of the Ashoka character in Mandalorian Season 2 episode she showed up in, but I actually kind of liked her when she showed up in this show. And also seeing Cad Bane there was fantastic, because I don't really know the Cad Bane character. I've never seen Star Wars Clone Wars, and I've never seen Star Wars Rebels. I'm not really into the animated Star Wars stuff, by the way. I did try watching it, but honestly, something like Clone Wars feels like one of those videos he's shown before going on a ride at a theme park, and it just seems low budget and not exciting whatsoever. Personally for me, Star Wars is all live action, and on the big screen, or live action on the television, like Mandalorian, Boba Fett, and Obi-Wan come May. But anyway, back to the cameos and the fan service. Cad Bane wasn't really a cameo, but when he showed up, I was really excited. And the thing is though, I don't know the Cad Bane character, so I was really excited to see what they did with that character, and that worked really well for me. And also, I did like the fan service element, but just seeing, you know, Mandalorian get his new ship, which is just basically like an updated version of the Naboo ships from the Phantom Menace, just kind of felt, I don't know, like it was in this show for the sake of pleasing fans. You know, that whole episode with the Mandalorian, which is actually called The Return of the Mandalorian, it was episode 6, it's called The Return of the Mandalorian, just literally felt like it was like, okay, fans, you haven't really liked this series so much so far, so now we're going to give you an episode of Mandalorian, so you love it again. And it just, that's what it felt like. And if I enjoyed that episode, I think Bryce Howard did a really good job directing that episode, and I did really enjoy it. You know, looking back at it, it just felt like it was a bit too much fan service, and I want Star Wars to get away from the fan service now. You know, one of the things I actually loved about Mandalorian Season 1 was that it didn't go into fan service too much. I mean, yes, you did have, you know, Mandalorian Season 1, Episode 5, where they go back to the Mos Eisley Cantina, which is a bit like, really, do we need to do this? But then you had moments in that series which were so original, so new, and so exciting, you know, such original content we hadn't seen in Star Wars for ages. And then, as much as I love Mandalorian Season 2, and I love it so much, you do start getting a lot of fan service in that show. And, you know, Boba Fett carries on and even more. I just wish that they toned down the fan service a bit in this show. And I wish that, you know, Mandalorian got his new ship in the next season of Mandalorian. I personally don't understand why he had to get his new ship in this show, because it just kind of felt like, okay, we're going to be the Mandalorian Season 2.5 here. And I don't mind that, by the way, and I'm going to get onto that. I don't mind about the fact that this show was in the end Mandalorian Season 2.5. But I just wish, I just think that, you know, Mandalorian getting his new ship should have been something in another season of Mandalorian, because I just didn't really feel like it fit in with this series as a whole. And also, seeing the ship, seeing him get his new ship and then fly around, you know, the whole pod race track felt very fan service. And even so, I did enjoy that moment. Looking back at it, what did it really serve to the story? And I just, my answer there is nothing, to be honest. But I did still really enjoy that episode. I'm talking about the episode like I absolutely hated it. I did still really enjoy episode 6 because I thought it was well directed and a lot of fun to watch. I love seeing the Mandalorian back because I'm a Star Wars fan. But that's the thing, though, it just felt a bit too fan servicey. I enjoyed the episode, but not as much as everyone else seemed to, in my opinion. Because honestly, after episode 6 came out, or was it episode 6? Episode 5, sorry. I keep talking about the fact that it's episode 6. So it's episode 5. When episode 5 came out, I looked on Twitter and everyone was raving about it. And I just couldn't get on that raving. I just didn't love it as much as I wanted to. At the same time, though, sticking on the criticisms for a sec, I do feel this show is a bit messy and not as well thought through as, say, Mandalorian is. Because, like, the reintroductions of characters like Cad Bane and Cod Vanth, I don't think were that well thought through. Like, if those characters had been introduced in, say, like, episode 3 or episode 4, I feel there would be more sort of, like, tension and more sort of payoff when they return and face off or help Boba in episode 7. But then when they do return, it's kind of like, oh, I just remember you from last episode. I want to feel more payoff there. And even so, I did enjoy, you know, the fight between the, you know, showdown between Cad Bane and Boba Fett. Even so, I did really enjoy that in the final episode of the show. I wish we got to have more of that build where we see Cad Bane just, you know, sneaking behind the shadows in each episode. I think it would have been a bit better. But in the end, I did still enjoy those kinds of introductions. I just think that I just wished that they were more, you know, well thought through like they were in Mandalorian. I wish the show was a bit more well thought through and not as messy and not convoluted like it's trying to accomplish so much. Because actually, another reason I think this show could have been better, another criticism of this show, is that I wish it was more episodes. I wish there was more episodes, and I wish they were longer as well. Like, as much as I did enjoy the first episode, it was just, you know, setting up the scene in the end. It was just setting up this whole scene with Boba Fett now in Mos Espa with Fennec Shand. And I enjoyed that first episode quite a lot because it felt like Star Wars to me. But the thing is, though, I wish that the show had more episodes. Unlike some of the Marvel Disney Plus shows like WandaVision, which feel too long, this show feels too short. It feels like it needs to be at least 10 episodes to really get the meat of the story out there. And I just feel it doesn't have that. And also, sometimes the direction of the show isn't always the best. Like, I think all the direction of the show is good. I actually think that Robert Rodriguez, who a lot of people have criticised in the show, did a great job. But the thing is, though, I do feel the direction isn't as polished as it is in Mandalorian. And I do feel the show has got quite a few problems, and also it doesn't sustain its tone. And yes, it does become Mandalorian Season 2.5, but personally, I don't mind that. Because like I said before, I still really enjoyed the show, because in the end, I expected Mandalorian to show up. I expected this show to feed off Mandalorian, and I expect Mandalorian Season 3 will feed off this show, because he left Boba Fett's character arc open. You see, at the end of the show, he still survives with the evil Wookiee, with Santos, whatever his name is, and Fennec Shan's still there, and the Vespa gang, they're all still alive. So I reckon that, Boba Fett is going to show up in either Mandalorian Season 3 or Mandalorian Season 4, if there's going to be one, or even Ashoka down the line. I reckon that he's going to show up in one of those shows, because they left his character open. Because in the end, yes, it was Mandalorian Season 2.5, but that's what I expected, and I enjoyed it for that reason. Way before the series came out, way before a trailer came out for this series, I said straight away that Mandalorian was going to show up in the Book of Boba Fett. I didn't know how long it was going to show up for, but I said for definite that Mandalorian was going to show up in Boba Fett. And what do you know? I was right, because Boba Fett showed up in Mandalorian, so it'd only be right, it'd only make narrative sense for Mandalorian to show up in Boba Fett, and that's what happened. But the thing is though, I'm fine about that, because in the end, I think all these Star Wars TV shows which have taken place after Return of the Jedi, like Mandalorian and like this show, are feeding off into each other. I reckon Ashoka is going to take place after Return of the Jedi as well, and I reckon the Ahsoka TV show will feed off Mandalorian as well. I reckon all these shows which have taken place post Return of the Jedi are going to feed off each other, and I'm fine with that, because I reckon, the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show and the Andor TV show will also feed off each other, because I reckon they both take place between A New Hope. I mean, it makes sense for them to take place in A New Hope, so yes, I think those TV shows are going to both feed off each other. Like, I reckon Obi-Wan's going to show up in Andor, maybe Andor shows up in Obi-Wan, we don't know, but the thing is, I'm saying that could happen, because that's the thing that's happening with, Boba Fett and Mandalorian. They're feeding off into each other, and I like that. A lot of people are just, they have this expectation that Boba Fett would have nothing to do with Mandalorian, and that just doesn't make sense in my opinion. So I was happy with the fact that this show did turn out to be Mandalorian Season 2.5. Even so, it was still a bit all over the place in tone, and a bit messy, and I felt like I was trying to do too much, because I was trying to do Mandalorian storyline at the same time. I still didn't mind that in the end, this show was basically Mandalorian Season 2.5. Because the thing is though, another big criticism of the show is that a lot of people have felt that this show has made Boba Fett softy. But actually, the Boba Fett character is so iconic because we don't know much about him, and I think this show carries it on. And also, I think that's another reason I like it so much. What am I about? Yeah, of course another reason I like it so much. Because in the end, Boba Fett is an iconic character because he's mysterious. And we don't really know much about him. He, lurks in the shadows. And then he's always one step ahead of the game. But in this show, they changed that character. But also, they kept him the same. We still don't know much about him. And I'm fine about that. I've seen some people online. So they expected this show to be like Boba Fett, doing his bounty hunter missions before we see him in A New Hope briefly. That's what I heard some people theorize that this show might be about. But in the end, that wouldn't really be that exciting. Sure, it'd be cool for like 2 episodes. We've already kind of seen that in Mandalorian Season 1 and 2. Mandalorian Season 1, we actually see him go and do a heist at one point. And we do see Mandalorian go through some of these, bounty hunter type missions. And sure, that would have been cool to see Boba Fett do the same. But would it have been that good to see him do it for full series? And my answer is no. It just would have been boring after a while. Unless it was an arc that ran over it. But in the end, I'm not reviewing the series for what I expected it to be. I'm reviewing the series for what I actually got. And what I got was, I think, a lot better. I like this whole idea of Boba Fett, trying to be something after he almost died in Return of the Jedi, and trying to find his pathway after not having to serve anyone for so long. There's a line from Boba Fett, I think it's episode 4 of the series, when he's talking to Fennec Shand at a campfire, and he just says to her, oh yeah, I'm just sick of, working for idiots who rule the galaxy, and things like, it's something like that. I'm paraphrasing badly, but it's something like that, and that just sums up Boba Fett's character in this show as a whole. Sure, that quote would have been better if it was in like episode 1 or 2, but still, I like the fact that it was in the show as a whole, and actually, I think that sums up his character. He's still mysterious and he's still iconic, and I think that works really, really well. Boba Fett is an iconic character from Empire Strikes Back, but the thing is though, we do not know a single thing about him in Empire Strikes Back. We don't know a single thing about him, other than the fact that he's worked for the Empire, he's working for Darth Vader, and he's always one step ahead of the game of Han Solo. He's great in Empire Strikes Back. I love Boba Fett in that film. I have about 15 Boba Fett action figures back there because I love him in Empire Strikes Back. But then, in Return of the Jedi, he's a fumbling idiot. Lest we forget how Luke Skywalker defeats him on the sail barge in Return of the Jedi. He literally just kicks him off the sail barge and into the Sarlacc pit. Boba Fett's fate in Return of the Jedi is pretty bad. Even so, I love that movie, and I love Boba Fett in that movie. Again, still, his fate in Return of the Jedi isn't the best. And then people are going to the series and go, oh, Boba Fett's now fumbling idiot and a softie. Yes, he's a fumbling idiot because he was a fumbling idiot in Return of the Jedi. And no, he's not softie. They're just adding more character to him. They're giving him more emotion. They're giving him a heart. He cares about characters now. That's not making him a softie. It's just giving the character something more to do. Because as much as I love Boba Fett in the original trilogy, there isn't really much going on with his character there. And actually in this series, he cares about the characters. He cares about the Vespa gang. He cares about Chrysanthus, the evil Wookiee. He cares about Fennec Shand. He cares about the Mandalorian. And I like that about this series. They gave Boba Fett character. They gave him something to do. And I like that. I love Boba Fett in the original trilogy. But I kind of like him a bit more here as a character because I just feel that there's something more there. There's something to really get yourself involved with. And yes, he's a bit of a fumbling idiot in some parts. Like I think it's episode 4. See Boba Fett and Fennec Shand break into Jabba's palace and they pick up that droid and he's trying to chase the droid around Jabba's palace. It's a bit weird. He's fumbling about and things like that. But he's fumbling about in Return of the Jedi as well. Some things haven't changed. And also, some people are saying Boba Fett's not the same Boba Fett he was in Return of the Jedi and Empire Strikes Back. Well, guess what? That's because this show takes place 10 years after Return of the Jedi. It's the same thing with Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi. This takes place 10 years after Return of the Jedi. The Last Jedi takes place 30 years after Return of the Jedi. No wonder Luke Skywalker isn't the same character in The Last Jedi as he was in Return of the Jedi. No wonder Boba Fett's not the same character he was here as he was in Return of the Jedi and in Empire Strikes Back. Because they're trying to do something different with the character, and I liked what they did with the character. I just kind of prefer over Return of the Jedi, and I love his character in those films. I really, really do. But I kind of like the character a bit more here. I'm not saying I like the show better, by the way. I'm just saying I like the character a bit more than I liked him in the original trilogy. And also, by the way, if you want to see about, Boba Fett's character arc and where he really came from and his sort of upbringing, watch Attack of the Clones. He's in that. Just watch Attack of the Clones. You see young Boba Fett in there, and you'll see Jango Fett. Attack of the Clones has some really good Jango Fett and Boba Fett content. I'm not really the biggest fan of that film, but there's some really good Boba Fett stuff in there. If you want to learn about his upbringing and why he became Boba Fett, you can really get it from Attack of the Clones. Just watch it. Just watch Attack of the Clones if you want to know about Boba Fett's upbringing, because you didn't need to see it again. And just seeing him doing his balancing of the missions would have just been repetitive, because we've already seen Mandalorian do that sort of stuff in the first and second seasons of Mandalorian. And also, some people have criticised the direction in this show, particularly what Rodriguez has directed episodes, which I think were episode 1, 3, and 7. And even so, I don't think Bob Rodriguez made the best episodes of the series. I think Bryce Howard made the best directed episode with episode 6, even so I have a problem with the story in that episode. I did still really enjoy its direction, but the thing is though, overall, Bob Rodriguez didn't do the best job of directing the episodes in this series. But I still found all of his episodes enjoyable. And yes, the editing in these episodes is a bit choppy, and the filmmaking isn't always the best. But saying that though, I did enjoy them. I particularly enjoyed his direction in the last episode, because then we got to see the full frontal Boba Fett. We got to see Boba Fett in all his glory when he's on his jetpack, shooting people, using all his blasts and things like that. That's what I wanted from the series. Even so we didn't get that in episode 1, and even so we didn't get that in episode 3 as well, we got that in this episode. And I almost felt like episode 7 was Robert Rodriguez redeeming himself with his direction. I don't think the direction of episode 7 is amazing, but I think it's better than it was in episodes 1 and 3. And I do think Robert Rodriguez did a good job, because in the end, it's so difficult to direct Star Wars. It's a common myth in Star Wars fandom that any director can come into Star Wars and just easily make a great Star Wars movie just like that. Lest we forget that George Lucas hasn't made the best Star Wars movies. He's made a great Star Wars movie, A New Hope, and Revenge of the Sith is also really good as well. But Attack of the Clones and The Phantom Menace aren't the best directed Star Wars movies, and it's so difficult to make a Star Wars movie. The fact that the original trilogy are all grey is a miracle in my opinion, because it's so difficult to get your spectators and get your viewers immersed into those worlds. It's so difficult, and the fact that so many episodes of Mandalorian have done it so well, I think says a lot about that show, and a lot about the quality of the show, and the fact that many episodes in this show as well really were directed, it also says a lot about the quality of the show. It's so difficult to get your viewer immersed into the Star Wars universe, and I think this show, and I think Mandalorian, does it really, really well. And I think Bob Rodriguez did a great job. He didn't do the best job, but I think he did a great job. The thing is though, if Bob Rodriguez was to direct more stars in the future, and say Mandalorian Season 3, or the Ahsoka Tano TV show, I'd like him only to direct one episode of those shows, because, you know, Robert Rodriguez did direct one episode of Mandalorian Season 2, the episode you see Boba Fett get his full armor back, and that episode was so well done, because he only directed that one episode of Mandalorian Season 2. I feel the fact that he directed 3 episodes of this show made each of the episodes he directed feel a bit less polished than they needed to be. I just feel if he directed one episode of this show, maybe that episode he directed would have been more polished up, and would have been more to the point, of being more tight. But nevertheless, I do think he did a good job. I don't think Robert Rodriguez did a bad job directing the series, not whatsoever. I don't think he did a bad job directing the episodes in the series, that's what's meant to say there. I don't think he did a bad job making the episodes he did in the series, but at the same time though, next time if he comes back to Star Wars, I hope he only directs one episode or whatever Star Wars show he comes back to direct. And also at the same time though, other people have criticised so much of this show, like the Vespa Gang. I enjoyed that, because say all about the Vespa Gang, but that's new and original, and some people have been saying that Star Wars hasn't been new and original for quite a long time now. Well, guess what? The Vespa Gang is evidence of that. Not the best evidence, but I still enjoyed watching that in the show, and also I think the show is well made. I do think, like Mandalorian, that this show has some of the best Star Wars visuals we've seen in such a long time. Honestly, I think some of the visuals in the show and some of the cinematography are absolutely fantastic. And also, I think the main musical theme by Ludwig Göransson, I think I pronounced his name wrong, so apologies if I am pronouncing his name wrong there, but the main musical theme of the whole show by Ludwig Göransson is fantastic. But the thing is though, unlike Mandalorian, Ludwig Göransson didn't do the whole score for this show, he only did the main theme. And actually, I think the person who did the main score for the show is Joseph Shirley. I might be wrong there, and apologies if I am. But the thing is though, whoever that is did a great job. I really like the score for the show, because, you know, it's a bit reminiscent of John Williams scores for Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, but at the same time though, it's also new and original, and it sounds like Ludwig Göransson scores for the Mandalorian series, which I think also works really well, and I think the music is fantastic, and it's really well made, and yes, it's messy, it's convoluted, and yes, if COVID didn't happen, maybe the series would be a bit more tight, and a bit more polished up, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, and I know I've spoken about the first 4 episodes on this channel already, but I enjoyed episode 5 quite a lot, you know, the episode which was the return of the Mandalorian. Even so, my criticisms of that episode, I did still enjoy it, and also I enjoyed episode 6, I love seeing Luke back, and I love seeing him train Baby Yoda, aka Grogu, and even like seeing Ahsoka Tano in there, you know, I even like seeing him in Mandalorian Season 2, but I enjoyed seeing him in this show, and also apparently, she's already met Luke, which I think is quite interesting, and I haven't even seen Clone Wars, but I think that's interesting, because obviously I have seen the Clone Wars movie, and I know that Anakin trained her, so I actually think that's quite interesting there. And also, I really enjoyed the last episode as well. And sure, yes, it didn't have the same emotional drive that the last episode of Mandalorian Season 2 had, but the thing is though, it was fun, it was exciting, and seeing all those characters come in there was really good. I really enjoyed it as a whole. It's not the best Star Wars content we've had, but at the same time though, I liked it. I really did. I liked it in the last episode where we see the big Rancor come out and we see Boba riding the Rancor, and it's almost like some out of King Kong, and I have a huge soft spot for any King Kong or Godzilla movie. So seeing that, I was just smiling from ear to ear. And also, we see them all, you know, Baby Yoda, aka Grogu, face off against the Rancor, and I was just smiling. It was just so good. And then they end up like sleeping next to one another. It's just fantastic in my opinion. And then seeing the whole Freehold army coming in there was fantastic. Seeing the Vespa Gang be a bit cool was great in there. Seeing Kusantos as Ewokey come in there was absolutely fantastic. And also, one other thing about the show, one other thing I almost got to mention, is with the show, a lot of people had their fan theories become expectations. Like, a lot of people thought that Amelia Clark's Kira from Solo was going to turn up. And a lot of people thought, you know, Harrison Ford as Han Solo in a de-aged fashion would turn up as well, in the same way, you know, Luke Skywalker turned up in there. But the thing is, though, that didn't happen, and that's fine. In fact, I actually kind of like the fact that it didn't happen. You know, I talked about it when I did my first episode review on this channel of this show, that this whole rumour that, you know, Han Solo's going to show up, and Harrison Ford's going to show up because they were shooting Indiana Jones 5 at the same time, and they took him over from the Indiana Jones 5 set to shoot a couple scenes in Book of Boba Fett. And you know what? I'm happy it didn't happen, because first of all, it would have been a bit too fan servicey, which is already one of my issues with the show. And also, it would have made the galaxy feel quite small. Like, as much as I love the fact that they're still on Tatooine, I love the fact that it feels familiar but different, because it's exploring new areas of Tatooine with the whole, you know, Tusken gang early on in the series. Even so, I do like the fact they're still on Tatooine. Seeing Han Solo and Kira show up in Tatooine would have just made the galaxy feel a bit too small. Like, if that happened and we had a Luke and Han reunion, sure, it would have been great, but it also would have been a bit like, okay, this is all happening in Tatooine, and Luke and Han happen to be there, and Kira happens to be there as well, it just would have been a bit messy and a bit meh, and a bit too fan-servicey. So personally, I'm actually kind of happy that Han Solo didn't show up. I love Han Solo, and I even think Emilia Clarke did a great job playing Kira in Solo, a movie I'm not particularly fond of. But the thing is, though, the fact that they're not in this show is absolutely fine in my opinion. And anyway, going back to the Book of Boba Fett overall, yes, it's not the best Star Wars content, and yes, it's not as good as Mandalorian, but bear in mind, we've had 2 seasons of Mandalorian. But saying that, though, I did enjoy this show. I enjoyed it. It's not the best Star Wars content I've seen, it's not even the best Star Wars TV content I've seen, and I'm still much more excited for Obi-Wan, but nevertheless, I did enjoy it. I think Tamir Morrison did a great job playing Boba Fett in this show once again, and I also think Ming-Na Wen did an absolutely fantastic job playing Fennec Shand, and also I think all the newcomers are great as well. And yes, it doesn't quite have the emotional drive that a Mandalorian has, but personally, I enjoyed it. I said it before and I'll say it again, I enjoyed this show. And that's why I'm going to say that the Book of Boba Fett, overall, I'm going to say it's an 8 out of 10. You know, I can completely understand why somebody wouldn't like this show. In fact, I have my reservations about it. But the thing is, though, I did enjoy it. And I know I said it before, but I'm happy that I did. I'm happy that I'm not one of those people online going, Star Wars is still bad, Disney ruined Star Wars. Because no, they didn't. No, they didn't. Because those are the same people that also like Mandalorian. If you like Mandalorian, then therefore you don't think that Disney ruined Star Wars. Disney can't have ruined Star Wars if you like The Mandalorian, because you're contradicting yourself there. And honestly, I don't think for one bit that Disney ruined Star Wars. I think they've made it so much better, to be honest, because I've got to admit something here. You know, as much as I loved watching Star Wars as a kid, I only really got to loving it to the same degree I love it now after I saw The Force Awakens way back in 2015, way back 7 years ago now. And actually watching the Book of Boba Fett, I was smiling from ear to ear because I'd watched those original Star Wars films time and time again after I saw The Force Awakens, and then watching the Rancor come in there and start to tell I was Mos Espa was exciting in my opinion. I'm sure this series got problems, but like Mandalorian, it made me feel like I was watching Star Wars. It made me feel like I was watching Star Wars, and I enjoyed it for that reason. It immersed me once again into the world of Tatooine, once again into the world of Star Wars, and once again into all the different worlds to explore. And I really like that about it. I love being in the Star Wars galaxy. And sometimes, whether it's naff or not, I still enjoy it. I still enjoy the prequels, even though they're naff, because they feel like Star Wars. And even though I'm not the biggest fan of Solo, I still enjoy watching the first half of it because it feels like Star Wars to me. In this show, say all about it, but it felt like Star Wars. And that is why I enjoyed it so much overall. And actually, one thing I almost got to mention is I absolutely love the reunion between the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda, aka Grogu, in the fan episode. I love that moment. But anyway, I really enjoyed the show overall, and you know what? I'm happy that I did. And so, all in all, I'm going to say that the Book of Boba Fett, I'm going to say that's an 8 out of 10 from me. Anyway guys, what do you think of the Book of Boba Fett? Please do comment down below and know your thoughts in the comment section below. Anyway guys, thank you as always for watching, and if you haven't yet, please do click down below and subscribe on this video. I look forward to seeing many more, both film and TV views, come very soon on this channel. See you guys again soon, but bye for now, bye!